You ever notice how some people seem to effortlessly accumulate wealth while others work just as hard but stay stuck in the same financial spot year after year? It's not luck, and it's rarely about how much they earn at the start. The real difference is how they think about money. The top 1% operate with a completely different mental framework, one that prioritizes leverage, systems, and asymmetric returns over trading time for dollars. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how the wealthiest people think about money, the specific mental models they use daily, and how you can adopt these strategies no matter where you're starting from. I'm Kyle, and if you're ready to rewire your financial brain and start thinking like someone who builds real wealth, stay with me to the end. This isn't theory. It's the playbook that separates those who build fortunes from those who just work for them. Most people think about money in terms of income, how much they make per hour, per month, or per year. The 1% think about money in terms of ownership and equity. They ask, what do I own that grows in value without my direct time input? Instead of trading hours for wages, they build or buy assets that generate returns while they sleep. This is the core mental shift, from earner to owner. When you're an earner, your income has a ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day. When you're an owner, your upside is theoretically unlimited because assets can scale, appreciate, and compound. Real estate, businesses, intellectual property, and investment portfolios all share this quality. The 1% obsess over acquiring productive assets and view their salary as seed capital for ownership, not as the end game itself. The second defining trait is how the 1% view risk. Average people see risk as something to avoid. Wealthy people see calculated risk as the price of opportunity. They don't gamble, but they do take asymmetric bets, situations where the potential upside massively outweighs the downside. Starting a business, investing in early-stage ventures, or buying undervalued assets all fit this profile. The key word is calculated. They do homework, stress test assumptions, and structure deals to limit loss while maximizing gain. They're comfortable with uncertainty because they know sitting on the sidelines guarantees mediocrity. If you want to think like them, start asking, what's the worst that happens if this fails? And can I handle it? If yes, and the upside is significant, they move. Risk isn't reckless, it's strategic, and it's non-negotiable for wealth creation. The 1% also think in decades, not days. They're building legacy systems, not chasing quick wins. Compound interest, compounding networks, compounding skills. Everything they do is designed to multiply value over time. Warren Buffett didn't get rich quick, he got rich slowly, consistently, over 60-plus years. The wealthy set 10 and 20-year goals, then reverse engineer the daily habits and investments required to hit them. They delay gratification instinctively because they understand exponential curves. The first years look flat, but year 15 to 25 is where the magic happens. Most people give up in year 2 because progress feels invisible. The 1% know the scoreboard doesn't move much early, so they trust the process and stay in the game longer than everyone else. Patience isn't passive. It's their competitive advantage and the engine of compounding. Another mental model the wealthy use is buying time. Instead of saving a few bucks by doing everything themselves, they outsource low-value tasks and invest that time into high-leverage activities. They'll pay for cleaning, meal prep, administrative work, and even personal training, not out of laziness, but because their hour is worth more when spent on strategy, relationships, or skill building. They calculate opportunity cost religiously. If an hour of your focus can generate $200 in value and you spend it on a $20 task, you just lost $180. The 1% ruthlessly protect their time and energy for activities only they can do. They automate, delegate, and eliminate everything else. If you want to think like them, start auditing your week. Which tasks could someone else do for less than your hourly earning potential? Then buy that time back and reinvest it in growth. The 1% are also obsessed with systems, not goals. Goals are outcomes. Systems are the repeatable processes that produce outcomes. Instead of saying, I want to be worth $10 million, they build systems, automated investing, recurring revenue streams, network building routines, continuous learning habits.
Once the system is in place, the goal becomes inevitable. James Clear's concept of atomic habits applies here. Small, repeated actions compound into massive results. Wealthy people don't rely on motivation or willpower. They design their environment and routines so the right actions happen automatically. They treat wealth building like a machine. Input effort consistently, and the output grows predictably. If your financial life depends on daily decisions and discipline, you'll burn out. Build systems that run whether you're motivated or not, and you'll start thinking and earning like the top 1%. Leverage is the single most powerful concept in the 1% playbook. Leverage means using other people's time, money, or resources to amplify your results. Businesses leverage employees. Real estate investors leverage bank financing. Content creators leverage the internet. The formula is simple. You contribute skill, strategy, or capital. Others contribute labor, distribution, or funding. Together, the output far exceeds what any individual could produce alone. The 1% never work alone at scale. They orchestrate teams, partnerships, and systems. If you're doing everything yourself, you're capping your potential. Start asking, how can I use leverage to multiply this effort? Hire a VA. Use debt strategically. Partner with someone who has skills you lack, or create digital products that sell while you sleep. Leverage is how one person can build an empire, while another, working just as hard, stays small. Wealthy people also separate emotions from money decisions. They don't buy things to feel rich, they buy assets that make them richer. There's no ego in their portfolio, only ROI. They're willing to drive older cars, live in modest homes, and skip luxury spending if it means more capital stays invested. This is delayed gratification at the identity level. They get their emotional reward from growth metrics, net worth milestones, and freedom, not from impressing strangers with stuff. When they do spend, it's intentional and strategic. Experiences that build relationships, education that increases earning power, or tools that save time. If you want to think like the 1%, detach your self-worth from your spending. The goal isn't to look wealthy, it's to be wealthy. And those two paths often point in opposite directions early on. Another critical habit. The 1% focus relentlessly on increasing income, not just cutting expenses. Frugality has a floor, but earning has no ceiling. They view every skill as a potential revenue stream, and every relationship as a possible partnership. They're always learning, networking, and experimenting with side projects. They don't wait for permission or a perfect plan. They test, iterate, and scale what works. While the average person optimizes grocery bills, the wealthy optimize their hourly rate, pitch bigger clients, or launch products. Both matter, but income growth is the accelerator. If you're stuck at a fixed salary, start building a second income stream. Freelance, consult, create digital products, or invest in cash-flowing assets. The 1% don't have one income source. They have multiple, and each feeds the others in a compounding loop. Here's a practical framework you can start today. The 1% use a capital allocation mindset. Every dollar that comes in gets assigned a job before it's spent. A typical model, 20% invested for long-term growth, 10% in liquid emergency reserves, 10% for skill building and network building, and the rest for a lifestyle. They never ask, can I afford this? They ask, does buying this move me closer to financial independence or does it delay it? This decision filter eliminates impulse purchases and aligns spending with long-term goals. Set up automatic transfers so your capital allocation happens before you see the money. Pay your future self first, fund your growth second, and live on what's left. This single habit will put you in the top 10% of financial discipline within a year, and it's exactly how the wealthy structure their cash flow from day one. Common traps that stop people from thinking like the 1%. First, waiting for the right time to start investing or building. There's never a perfect moment, so the 1% start small and learn as they grow. Second, fear of looking foolish or failing publicly. Ego kills more fortunes than bad ideas ever will. Third, spending raises instead of investing them. Lifestyle inflation is the silent wealth killer. The 1% get a raise and increase their investment rate, not their rent. Fourth, thinking wealth building is a solo journey. The ultra-wealthy surround themselves with mentors, masterminds, and advisors who challenge and elevate them. If you're the smartest person in your circle, you're in the wrong circle. Audit these traps honestly. Fix one per quarter, and you'll rewire your financial operating system in 12 months. At the core, thinking like the 1% means treating wealth building as a craft, not a lottery. It's about ownership over income, systems over goals, leverage over effort, and decades over days. Start today by choosing one shift. Automate your savings, start a side income stream, or buy your first small asset. Track your net worth monthly, not your paycheck. Build relationships with people ahead of you financially. Read what they read, adopt their habits, and reject the scarcity mindset that keeps most people stuck. The 1% aren't special. They just think differently, and you can learn that. Tell me in the comments which mental model you're adopting first.